So yeah, this bike can handle off-road if you know what you're doing. So I've got a problem that I'm hoping you're gonna be able to help me out with. I keep changing bikes. I can't make up my mind. And I know I get a lot of criticism for this. I'm hoping this latest one I can justify. Let's get on and ride. Alright, so in this video, I'm gonna try and justify this problem. You can help me out by leaving a comment down below. Another new bike day. So right now I'm just gonna take a quick ride, give you my first thoughts, and then later in this video I'm gonna have more in-depth thoughts on this bike. Let's get on and ride. So one thing that's really goofy with this bike is this side stand, or kickstand, or jiffy stand as Harley calls it. It's not the most convenient. It's short, it's a weird position, takes a lot getting used to. Now the bike is lowering. That adaptive ride height is really convenient. I'm practically flat-footed right now. Nope, started right up. So I'm gonna take a route that kind of, a little bit of back roady here in the city. It should be a little fun. So, 4 modes on this: street, sport, off-road, which has an off-road plus and a rain mode. And there's 3 other modes which you can set to your liking. Now just first thoughts riding this when I did the test ride and riding it early on here, I just feel really low on this bike. Not that it's a huge problem, but it's much lower sitting than any adventure bike that I've owned or ridden, which is good. I mean, I can put my feet down easily. It's just different, you know? I've done one long ride with this seat, a little over 200 miles all said and done one way. It's really dusty here. I'm gonna be doing a little off-road right away. It's super dusty. I'm putting the visor down. And the seat wasn't the best for long distance. Not the best at all. So you notice pretty early on here, I'm probably shifting a little bit too quickly for this bike. It's almost lugging when I'm shifting. It's not, but just almost. It really wakes up. This Revolution Max engine really wakes up at 5,000 RPM. Most of my shifting, I should really carry it that far. Oh, I want to turn left here. I hope they let me. Oh yeah. All right. So here's a little off-roading right away. I'm going to keep it in street mode, but I'm going to be standing up here. Oh, not going to be able to go that way. I went that way yesterday. Really wanted to go that way because it's a little bit off-roading. Oh well. I'll go a different way. So yeah, I should really pull these gears until 5,000 RPM. At least 4. Right there. Yeah, it just starts waking up a little bit. See if I can get through here. Oh yeah. Can I? We'll find out. Sidewalk closed. All right, let's do a little bit of, do I get through there? Let's do a little bit off-roading here. So this is one of the easiest adventure bikes I've found I could stand on easily. Hopefully I can get through up here. I mean, my hands aren't in a great position for off-roading, but standing, super easy. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get through here. You can't get through anywhere. You know what? I'm gonna go up on the sidewalk. Super stable. The suspension is really good, and it can be changed in those different modes I talked about earlier. super stiff in sport mode. You can set it soft in off-road mode, and street mode, somewhere in between. Most of my rides have been predominantly in street mode. We're getting a little bit of a tour of all the construction in my neighborhood. See, I'm at about 2,000 RPM in second gear, and it's doing all right, but I feel like really push those RPMs up a little higher. See, I don't feel like this is a great commuter bike. You probably have heard some say it's perfect for commuting, but for a couple of reasons, I don't feel it's a good commuter bike. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to use it as a commuter bike, but there's a few reasons. One, this engine, this V-twin, it gets hot. It gets really hot. It's the hottest water-cooled engine I have ever experienced. It's a lot better on the highway, but it's not great for these short commutes here because it does get hot. It's not terrible, but it's noticeable. I mean, the KTM's 1290 Adventure R, 1290 Adventure S, both those, you can feel the heat coming up to your butt. You can feel that. This, you feel it in your legs and your knees, your ankles. Like, you really feel it. The other reason is this Revolution Max. Like I said, it really wakes up at 5,000 RPM. Not really suited for urban environments. You could throw it in the rain mode, which cuts the torque and power. I don't really want to ride that way if it's not raining or if the conditions don't really warrant it. I like coming through here. Those of you who follow the channel quite a bit recognize this area as a route that I often take to work. It's pretty in my book. We've had some storms here lately, so some trees were down. The handlebars, as all adventure bikes set up by dealerships, they're set up for street riding, for road riding. So the handlebars are pretty low. For me, I like adjusting the bars up for off-road, and I adjusted them up a little bit, but still, they're not in a great position. What I like to do on my adventure bikes is bring a tool with me, adjust the bars for road riding, keep them low, and then when I know I'm going to do some off-roading, adjust them up. It doesn't take me long and it's easy to do, and if I mark the bars in a certain spot, I can do it super quick. So with this seat, I have the seat in the highest position now. There's two positions, low and high. I think the high position is, I don't remember. I'll put up on the screen now the heights. While I'm sitting and riding, I like to hold the tank with my knees. And in the low and high positions with this stock seat, my legs and knees are below the tank. Right now, my inner crotch area here, I'll show you my inner crotch area. Right now, that is the only part touching the tank. So I can't grip like I want. And the way the pegs are, hey brother. And the way the pegs are, they're a little bit further back than I would like. I kind of lift up my ankles a bit, lift up my toes a bit. I'm gonna lift up my toes a bit so I can grab the tank. So I think what I need to do is get a seat that lifts me up a bit. Looking at Saddleman seat, I'm looking at a Corbin. The Corbin Rally really interests me. So I might give that a try. Super pricey, but it might be worth it so I can grip the tank while street riding. Standing up, gripping the tank, no problem whatsoever. I think that's what Harley had in mind, actually. Also, balancing this bike, really easy. Like, I've not put my feet down at all here. Just kind of rolled down. Really easy to balance this bike. Most of the weight, it's really slung low. Now I've added some Lone Rider moto bags onto this bike, and they add a bit of weight along with Harley's rack. I don't notice that weight at all while riding. Let's talk about this windshield. Super flimsy. This is the most ridiculous windshield I've ever had on a bike. I sound like I'm complaining about this bike a lot. I'm just giving you my thoughts, Rorschach style, just what comes to my mind here. I love this bike, actually. I don't mean to make it sound like I'm complaining. Let me just say that no adventure bike, no bike is perfect for everybody. There are going to be some things that you don't like about a bike. It's not going to be perfect. The Twin was a bike, the Africa Twin. I love that bike. But it wasn't a perfect bike. No bike is perfect. I'm telling you, if you're short and you want an adventure bike, this adaptive ride height is for you. I feel like I don't really need it. I'm 5'9", 5'10" if the ladies are asking. But I've ridden enough tall adventure bikes where I'm used to that height, so I don't feel like I need the adaptive ride height, but it's nice to have. But anyway, back to this windshield. It's super flimsy, and there's different positions that can be adjusted on the fly with this here. Low position, medium position, and this high position, which is not really a high position, it actually just puts the shield more towards you. See if I can do this here. So that's high position right there. All it does is pushes it forward. I never have it in that position. Usually keep it in the mid position right here, and then there's a low position, so mid position, high position. Mid position, which I keep this in. I don't know about this position. It keeps the wind off my chest. Usually when I have a windshield, I like to have it at eye level, the top of it at eye level. This is about at my Adam's apple. Not the best position in my opinion. It's not terrible, but I would probably opt for a taller windshield myself. And like I said, no bike is perfect. The Twin, I need to do a lot of mods to the Twin to make it a perfect bike for me. Not a perfect bike, to make it a bike for me. And this thing needs some mods too. I mean, I only have 319 miles on this bike right now, so I will need to make some mods for sure. These mirrors are pretty good, easy to adjust, easy to bump out of position, but easy to adjust back into position. And for a Harley, finally having a Harley where I can see behind me without having to buy new mirrors, that's super nice. We need to talk about the TFT. It's big. This is a 2022 model, so a lot of the widgets on here, they're still pretty small. They upgraded it to make them bigger, but they're still pretty small. A lot of buttons on this thing. I feel like I'm programming NORAD. Not nearly as bad as the Twin. Twin was crazy. Twin had way too many options. All right, I'm gonna park here. Gotta run an errand. I'll come back and we'll talk more about the TFT and the buttons and a few other things. I'll see you in a little bit. So if you're particularly short, it'd be a good idea to turn the bike on before you get on it, so it actually lowers itself. It's much easier to get on. I don't usually have trouble. There are ways to get on an adventure bike without having to worry about having a challenge getting on. Some of you may recognize this garage is where I park for work. Just made a quick stop to work here. All right, let's talk some more. So the TFT and all the electronics, in my opinion, really easy to use. Now mind you, I'm coming from an Africa Twin, which was super complicated. Took a little bit to get used to. But as others have said who love their ATs, it's easy to use once you get used to it. Which is true, but it's just unnecessarily complicated. This, really easy to use right out the gate. Now, if you're going from a cruiser where you don't have a lot of this rider aids and electronics and cornering ABS, all of that traction control, it may be a bit intimidating if you're not used to that. So I'll say what the AT guys say. It's easy to use once you get used to it. Whoops. As I was saying, it's easy to use once you get used to it. TFT, as I was saying, easier to see than the 2021 model, but still kind of hard to see. And I mean, I wear glasses. I mean, I'm 48, so I guess compared to some, I have old eyes, but I mean, I can still see it. But compared to other TFT displays, it's pretty tiny. You could change things around, different widgets to your liking. You could put different things in different spots, choose different information. I haven't messed around with that too much, so I don't really know if I really want to, if I really need to. I probably will. Of course, you can connect your phone, have some audio to listen to, have some music or your favorite podcasts, especially on some longer rides. And connecting's pretty easy, not hard, and you can control it. Your phone here, music, whatnot. The system to give you directions, you have to install the Harley app on your phone, and anytime you turn the bike on and you have your phone with you, up pops the app. And you plug in where you want to go into your phone, and then it connects to the TFT. It's not super inconvenient. I just much rather use Apple CarPlay, which I think the only bike that has that is the Africa Twin. That's my preference, because I like to use Google Maps. Now, if you had some way to hook up Rever or something similar, that'd be nice. The directions aren't terrible, they're pretty good. I would say it's neither good or bad. It's not something I would choose to use, but since I have to use it for directions on this bike with the TFT, I'll go ahead and use it. The very first thing I'm going to change in this bike is the seat. Any Harley I've ever owned, I changed that seat right away. And I'm surprised I've gone this many miles with this bike without changing the seat. So that'll be the first thing that I do. And like I said, standing up in this bike, really easy. Definitely need to change my hand position though. I like how this bike shifts. It's kind of in between, you know, your cruiser, which you hear it really clunk into gear, and the smoothness of other adventure bikes. You can still feel it clunk in the gear, but not nearly as severe as your cruiser. I would definitely advise using some good boots while on this bike, because even with the boots I'm wearing now, these ones right here, I can still feel that shifter. It's sometimes not very comfortable. Kind of stabs my foot. I don't know if that needs to be swapped out or not, or if I just need to wear a good pair of adventure boots. So I started this channel with the Iron 883 with possibly the loudest exhaust ever on a bike. Even Harley dudes who love loud exhausts, they said my bike was a little too loud. I wonder if I can get through that construction up there. But as I age now, maybe I'm just getting old, I'm not too fond of loud bikes. So much so, I took the Two Brothers exhaust off my Iron 883, put the stock exhaust back on. So that's what I like about this bike. It's not loud at all, and I love it. And I don't plan on swapping the exhaust out for something louder. I just don't need to. The engineers knew what they were doing with the exhaust that is on this bike. I have no reason to swap it out. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments below. I think I'm going to try and get through this construction here that I couldn't get through earlier. Maybe ride a little off-road. Let's put it in off-road mode. All right, there we go. Oh yeah, here we go. Get through this. So yeah, this bike can handle off-road if you know what you're doing, but it's definitely not an off-road beast. Not like the Twin is. Easy. So why did I buy this bike? Here's the big question. And can I justify it at all? Well, the Twin was a great bike, and I miss the snot out of that bike. And I have a feeling I'll own one again, but I'll never ride it off-road like you see the guys and all the Honda commercials. Same with this bike. You see them all riding off-road, doing some really crazy stuff, but that's not what this bike is for. It's an adventure tour with the ability to do some minor off-road. See if I can get through here. Oh yeah. Let's put it in off-road mode. There we go. Doesn't need to be an off-road plus, not here. It's all about balance. Easy enough. When I came through here the other day, I wasn't recording properly. I had it in time lapse. This was all rutted, and it was fun to ride through. There you go. Loose gravel everywhere. Loose gravel for miles. Get it back in stream mode here. So my adventures will be predominantly on the road with this bike, with some gravel roads, a little bit off-road, maybe a tiny bit of the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail. Me and my buddy Aaron are planning a trip this September, doing mostly Highway 35 here in Wisconsin, which, if you are familiar, is the Great River Road. So we'll be riding along the Mississippi from Galena, Illinois, all the way up to Bayfield, Wisconsin. Fun route, beautiful ride, and I'll be recording that adventure. All right, next video, I'm going to be talking off the bike. I'm going to show you everything in a more detailed, more formal video about this bike. So stay tuned. I'll see you in the next one, guys.